I don't know.
So I'm gonna, all right, we are recording.
Okay, great. So hey, my name is Emily Saravia. I'm a 10th grade student at Pasadena High School.
Excellent.
A project about important community assets for my law and service or public service program. This meeting will be recorded as you know. Is it okay if I ask some questions about your nonprofit organization?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, so from the research I've done, Friends Indeed provides food and shelter for homeless, correct? Okay. Keep going.
Yeah. No, we have a few different programs that I can share if you want to hear
Okay.
about them.
Yeah. You can let me know like more about the organization.
Sure. I mean, overall, yeah, we provide critical services to our homeless and at-risk neighbors so they can rebuild their lives. You know, we provide it with compassion, connection, dignity, and we do that through five different program areas.
Oh, okay.
Are
these services? Yeah. Are these services provided in the Pasadena facility, like located on Washington and Garfield?
Sure. So we're on Washington, and we do two of our programs here. So here in our building here, we have the food pantry, which is open 3 days a week, and we're serving just about 400 households a week, and we provide them with shelf-stable food and fresh produce and vegetables and proteins, breads, desserts, you know, whatever we have available. So that happens here in our building. Pre-COVID, we were really proud that we could have people come in and shop, quote unquote, and pick the foods that they like, and you know, have the market experience, because we're all about dignity. We want people to feel, you know, experiences that the rest of us kind of take for granted. And so, but unfortunately with COVID, we had to move everything outside to our parking lot. And so now it's more pre-packaged bags. There's still some choice based on what we have, but the primary food is now in a bag that our volunteers and staff prepare. But those are mostly not homeless folks, mostly at-risk folks, a lot of low income, a lot of seniors, senior citizens, unfortunately. So that's our food pantry. In the same building here, we have what's called the Women's Room, which is a day refuge for homeless and at-risk women. Any woman can come in, and we offer a bunch of different things: shower, laundry, good food, healthy food. Pre-COVID, we had anywhere from 25 to 30 ladies who would come every day on a lot of days. Obviously, we had to limit that number once COVID started, but we hope to be able to get back, creep up to that number again. Pre-COVID, we had a lot of activities and services, and you know, we had meditation groups, we had writing groups, hairdressers, manicures, massage, chiropractor, therapy, art, very important. And we've slowly started to build that back in, because the mental stimulation and spiritual stimulation is really important. And so we're starting to do that, but it's open every day, and it's not overnight. It's 10 to 4. And, you know, we're here in many ways to build community for these ladies.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I've read about that. And then I also seen about the market. That's a great thing, because as you said, it's things that us people take for granted. Like, we don't really realize how privileged we are to actually have the access to go to a grocery store and purchase our own groceries. Another question.
I was gonna say, we have 3 other programs, but they're just not at this location. So
Okay.
we have another office on Lake Avenue. And there we do two of our programs. One is our eviction prevention rental assistance. These are folks who are living in their place, in a home, and are at risk of being evicted. You may have heard during COVID that there's been this eviction moratorium, so they haven't been evicting people if they couldn't pay the rent. And so we've been offering a lot of case management, a lot of help just to keep people calm and try to give them other resources. But now it's about to end, and the rent is not forgiven. There is a state program that's going to offer some forgiveness, but the back rent in many cases could be owed. And so in general times, that program helps people to not be evicted, to offer them short-term rental assistance, help them pay their rent, help them hopefully get back on track if they are looking for a job, help with utilities, anything we can to not have them become homeless. Because once you're homeless, it becomes very hard and very expensive to try and get you back in. The other program that's down there is called our Street Outreach and Housing Program. This is where we have two outreach workers who are on the street every day, engaging, talking to, trying to meet folks who are living on the streets, build relationships, rapport, build trust, ultimately to try and get them into some of the databases, the county database for services, and then another one for pipeline to housing. We just added a component to that program where we'll, if people will agree to go with a housing plan with one of our housing navigators, we have motel rooms available. You may have also heard Project Room Keys. The state's been providing funding for a lot of motels to get people off the street. And it's a very successful program. So we're continuing to do that on our own, to have at least 4 people at a time work with us, our managers, and try and get them into bridge housing, which is the first step into housing. So that's really exciting for us. We've housed 16 people already this year. And the last program is our bad weather shelter. That takes place at a local church, Pasadena Covenant Church. We've been doing it for 30 plus years. I should say the Friends Indeed is in its 126th year as an organization, 1894. Obviously last year we couldn't do a shelter. We offered just a modified program of partnering with another church, Pasadena Presbyterian, to offer clothing and winter supplies, and the church does meals twice a week anyway, so we kind of jumped in there and partner with them. Our hope is to be back with Covenant Church for our shelter, which is weather activated. It's open December through March. Has to be projected 40 degrees or colder, or predicted for rain. It's an overnight emergency shelter. Folks can line up at 6, come in at 8. Volunteers provide a wonderful hot meal. There's cots set up in their gym, and people can sleep in safety and warmth. And then in the morning, we'll head out until we're open again. Those are the 5 programs.
Wow. Yeah, I've seen those. Those are amazing programs. It's crazy all the help that you guys have been doing. Do you know what the main reason as to why this organization started back in 1894?
Sure. So we're a faith-based organization. We still are a faith-based organization, interfaith now, but it was started by pastors in churches, really to do the mission of taking care of the poor, feeding the hungry, clothing the naked. And, you know, there obviously there's always been poor people. I think the amount of homeless folks, or whether that existed back then the way we think about it now, I'm not totally sure, but clearly I think there's always been people who are unhoused. We've had different names for them. You're too young to know, but people call them hobos or bums or transients or, street
Oh,
people. So yeah, the pastors came together and formed a coalition to help people. And throughout the 20th, now 21st century, it's had different names, it's had different kind of iterations of how we operate, but the mission's always been the same. And now we're a well-established nonprofit here in Pasadena.
well, that's a blessing. How was this organization improved as the years went on?
Mm-hmm. So throughout the 20th century, it was really mostly still church-based. Just about 10 years ago, it became interfaith. So I'm a rabbi, so Jewish of Jewish faith. So but it has grown from not just having a food pantry here. Started here in 1978. That's when this building was built in Washington and Los Robles. And then we've been doing the bad weather shelter since the 80s at the other church. And then about 13 years ago, starting the women's room here. It has grown in size, more staff, more funding. We're now, the congregations are the engine of our volunteers and our support, but I'm like pretty much the first full-time executive director. I have 15 staff members. We've grown programs. We have significant income, growth in our budget. But it's built on this history. It's been going this 126 time. There's 126 years. There's never been a time where it kind of went away and came back. It's done different things and it's had different locations and everything, but it's been going as Friends Indeed for quite a long time. But we're more stable now and we're able to provide. We're much more kind of traditional nonprofit, board of directors, staff, and able to provide just a lot more services over the years.
Wow. What would you say the average of the amount of people you guys have helped or sheltered would be?
So our programs all serve kind of different populations. Like I said, we serve about 400 households a week in the food pantry, which is several thousand people throughout the year, with several 100,000 pounds of food, several 100,000 meals that equals in a whole year. And so we believe that that's one of our programs that prevents homelessness, because we're helping people supplement. They don't have to spend a whole week's worth of their income on food. They're able to pay the rent, hospital, medical, car, all those other things, and stay housed. In our women's room, we have housed some folks out of there, but again, that's providing community and safety and all of those basic services for hundreds of women a year. In our shelter, we offer, we were open 45 nights last season, about just under 300 people got shelter during the winter season. And then we've housed, so like I said, 16 people off the streets this year, and just about the same, if not a little more, in the last few years. But, throughout our history, Emily, it's been thousands of people that we've helped in one way, form, hundreds of thousands of people in one way, shape, form, or another. We haven't been able to get everyone off the street. It's about 500 homeless folks, people experiencing homelessness. Of those, 250 or so are on the streets. So we're always working to try and reduce homelessness, getting people off the streets, getting them case management services. Our eviction prevention is trying to prevent people from becoming homeless. So in that program, thousands of people that we've been able to keep in their homes with some support. And obviously,
And
there's a
it's
lot of
amazing how you guys are not
organizations.
starting from.
I was gonna say, we have a lot
No,
of
keep talking.
partners. Yeah, we have a lot. There's a lot of folks who do great work in the community. We're blessed to work with them. And we each kind of doing our part, collaborating, or we each have our own kind of things that we do but partner together. But what were you saying?
Yeah. I was gonna say it's amazing how you guys are not only helping the outcome of becoming homeless, but you guys are starting from the eviction part, from preventing the homelessness and throughout the whole process. I think that's really, really do you guys have like a goal of the day of how many people you guys want to help that day?
No, I would say we want to help as many people as we can. Yeah, we don't operate that way. I would say anyone who comes and needs food in the food pantry will get it that day. Any lady who needs help in the women's room, like I said, pre-COVID, we would bring them in and be able to help them. As many people on the street that are outreach workers, they're seeing about 50 people a week. The more, the better. And honestly, as many people as we can with our capacity and with the time in the day, we're going to do that.
Yeah, that's good. So I know you talked about your volunteers. How many volunteers do you guys have?
Hundreds, which is really amazing. The main volunteers are in the food pantry. Like pre-COVID, there was 50 a week that were coming, at least. In the women's room, 25 to 30 a week. In the bad weather shelter, which is open just in the winter time, hundreds, because folks come in the evening and set up the cots and make the food and serve the food and clean up. So hundreds of volunteers on a yearly basis. We couldn't do anything we do without volunteers, because I would need at least 10 to 15 more staff people to run all the programs as efficiently and effectively as we do if we didn't have the volunteers. So in addition, we get a lot of donations. So it's not only people who come here and volunteer, but congregations, scouts, businesses, other nonprofits, schools, youth groups, all of these folks who will do a food drive or a toiletry drive or a school supply drive or toy drive or all of these things. Last year we got about, if you calculate, we try and calculate about $300,000 worth of what's called in-kind donations. So that basically means we didn't have to spend $300,000 on food and toiletries and all those other things I mentioned because people donated them.
That's amazing. That's crazy what the community can do.
People are very generous.
Can anybody volunteer for this organization, or is the staff picked out and have to go through like an application process?
No application. In the women's room, you need to be a woman, 18 or older. In the food pantry, we have amazingly dedicated volunteers, so it's almost like it's hard to get a slot to volunteer. We've had people volunteering 5, 10, 15 years. on their day. But no, certainly in the food pantry, certainly in the bad weather shelter, and to an extent in the women's room. Yeah, no, if you call and or email, and we'll set you up, and hopefully, yeah, get you in. Certainly one time is easier, but if you want to do it regularly, then we can work that out. Yeah, but anyone's welcome to volunteer.
Wow. If students are wanting to volunteer here, would they also be able to get volunteer? Would it just be mm, a volunteer out of like their own time?
Oh, if they wanted to come during school hours? Is that what you
Not
said?
necessarily
I
school,
lost you during.
like if students want to volunteer to get school hours.
Oh, yeah, right. So we have during the year a lot of schools that come with their classes, and they get service hours. The Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts come, they get service hours that we sign off on. Yeah.
Okay. If a student comes as an individual, would they still also get the hours?
You know, if they bring us the form to fill out, sure.
Okay,
Sure.
that sounds good. Well, that's it for this interview. Thank you so much for your time and all this information. It was amazing to hear.
It's amazing. So
I hope you and your teamwork continue to do the amazing work.
Right. So just to plug some stuff, our website's Friends Indeed PAS, all one word like Pasadena, Friends Indeed PAS.org. And you can go on, and we're active on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We post a lot of pictures and videos and stories. I do a weekly email. So if you go on the website and just fill in, to put your email and your name, get on our list. You can read every Friday about everything that's going on, and just so glad that you're doing this, Emily, and that folks, it's your generation, you're caring and concerned and engaged. That's what we need. So thank you.
You're welcome. And with that being said, this interview is now over. Thank you again, and have a great day.
You too.